Gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'm very pleased to say welcome once again to all of you, and in particular this day to our most distinguished guest, Professor Gyo-Hoo Lee, who is a professor of law at Chung-Ang University School of Law in Seoul, Republic of Korea. The topic of today's conversation will therefore be how the Korean legal system and how the Korean educational system adapt to the pandemic and how the pandemic has changed the way Korean academics and Korean legal scholars work on. Professor Lee holds an LLB and an LLM from Jeonsei University in Seoul and an LLM in Comparative Asian Law from the University of Washington in Seattle, and a JSD in Comparative Civil Procedure from Washington University in St. Louis. He was a visiting researcher at Georgetown University Law Center and a visiting scholar at Washington University School of Law in St. Louis. He is mainly specialized in civil procedure, arbitration, intellectual property law, private international law, and cultural heritage law. And I'm very proud to share with you the news that Professor Lee is inter alia the chairperson for the Government Committee on reform of the Korean competition law. So his focus is mainly IP, and there everything, not only copyright, but also competition and also patent law. I may also share the news with you that Professor Lee has provided for the Korean IP office a research paper or a policy paper on how to implement artificial intelligence and inventions that are provided by artificial intelligence into the current patent law legal system of South Korea. Professor Lee, it's my real pleasure to say welcome to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's Friday late afternoon for you, so probably this is the last official appointment for this week. So thank you so much for joining. How are you, and how is life in Korea at the moment?
Okay, my special thanks go to you, Nicholas, for the invite me for such a nice, the webinar. So thank you so much. Anyway, dear colleagues, is good evening in the Korean time.
So let's start with, as I told you when we prepared this, I told you that many of our viewers, or most of our viewers, are Europeans, many of them German speaking. So I would not expect them to have any detailed knowledge about the Korean legal system in general and the Korean legal educational system in particular. So perhaps could you kindly start with providing us with some basic information how a person who is interested in law becomes a lawyer, and how a person can then specialize, for example, in the fields that the two of us are most intensely interested in.
Yes, okay. So basically the Korean legal education system is a mixture of the civil law countries and the common law countries, because my university is a school of law, not the faculty of law, or basically the finishing the following the graduation of the undergraduate law faculty, and they can apply for the law schools, the 3-year long term. And the structure looks like the American law school, but the total number of the nationwide law school students body is 2,000. It's very limited. So in that sense, it's kind of the like the continental legal system to the very regulating the total number of attorneys.
Yeah. So how many legal professionals do you have in South Korea, roughly? I mean, do you know about the figures?
I think about 1,000 altogether.
Okay, so it's a very small number. It's a very small number. And the way to keep this number small is the entry exam for the universities, or how do you keep the numbers so small?
Because basically throughout after Korean War, it will last from the starting from the 2050 to 2053, and the Korea was at that time is a very poor country. So basically, the Korean government focused on the the engineering department rather than the law school. So the very small number was selected as a lawyer at that time. Gradually the number of the the law school or the law faculty, the body was increasing. I think
Hmm.
in the beginning of the 1980s, I think that the number was the blow up, because at that time I think that the Korean governments want to liberalize the total number of the university. So at that time, and many the what is it PhD students became the law professor. So still the number is staggering right now. So that's
Hmm.
why we have a very small number.
And are you planning to increase the number, or should they
No,
stay
no,
so
no.
low?
It's a decreasing because after adopting the American law school systems, all of a sudden, I think only 25 law faculty became the law school. So the other than the law school, the law faculty is decreasing. So it's kind of divided. What if the in the 2008, many the law faculty just apply for the law school certification. So only 25 law school became they got the law faculty law school the certifications. So other than that, maybe the 75 law faculty just remained in the law faculty still.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in that sense, the remaining the 75 law faculty is kind of they can lost the competitiveness. So
Hmm.
the faculty number is decreasing in that sense overall.
Hmm. Hmm. And is this because law as a subject becomes less attractive to young students?
Not really. It's attractive, but at least they need to finish the law school. So
Mm.
less than the what is it? More than the 7 years, including 4 year the undergraduate, the years,
Mhm.
and the 3 years for the law school. So for the the what is it? Male students actually they finished the military mandatory military service 2 year long
Mhm.
so period. So unless it takes 9 years for
Mhm.
the men, and it takes the 7 years for the women.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's the length of the studies then. Okay. And
Yeah,
and
right.
yeah, and during studies, are there any practical phases? So do students join, I don't know, law firms
Yes,
or
sure.
courts
Yes,
during their studies already?
yes. It
Yes.
maybe not the undergraduate department, and
Mhm.
during the second L and uh, I think that they're the first L, even in first L students, they what is it? They played engaged in internship
Mhm.
with several law firms and the small law office.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
Mm.
And that's compulsory. So everyone needs to do this. It's a
Yes,
compulsory part of their
otherwise they
studies.
cannot graduate.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
mm.
Okay. And when people are interested in IP and IT, like you and me are, what would be the earliest moment to specialize in such a field? Would it be already in during undergraduate studies, or is this a
No,
postgraduate? It's
no
postgraduate.
requirement.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
requirement.
Okay. So
Mm.
undergraduate studies are basic education, right? Okay. And
Yes,
then
yes.
and postgraduate would be the level to start with this. Mhm.
Mhm.
And if you want to become an academic, what would be the way to become a professor? What is the typical career path for a professor? And
Yes,
for a
maybe
judge and for a lawyer? Let's do it all,
um,
the three of
I
them.
think the judge and the public prosecutors and they can be the law professor easily because what they do daily life is just the writing, you know.
Mhm.
So the writing dissertation, writing paper is a very important. The what is it? The basic job for the the academic professions. So
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe as a lawyers, they need to get the PhD in law or the SJD in law
Mhm,
to get the law professor job
mhm,
in
mhm.
Korea normally.
And is this an attractive position? So is it
Oh,
attractive to
sure.
become a law professor for a bright person, or do you need to have a specific interest in writing in order to take all these
Uh,
burdens?
it's a very attractive job because it's a kind of the uh, in Korea, even they as soon as they got a job as maybe assistant professors, actually they cannot cut off. Even though they didn't, the what is it, comply with the certain requirement of the promotions, even though they didn't get a tenure, actually it's a tenure, de facto
Mhm,
tenure. They
mhm,
cannot, the university authority cannot kick them out. So
mhm,
basically, it is a very stable job in
mhm,
Korea.
mhm, mhm. And your daily life is similar to my daily life in the sense that you are expected to teach and you are expected to write and you are expected to give consultancy to public bodies.
Mhm.
How much of your time goes into which section? So how much is
Um,
teaching? How much is research? How much is third mission?
so after pandemic, actually, my teaching time for my teaching is much more the increasing because I
Mm-hmm.
need to prepare for the the PPT files for the teaching and basically I need to sometimes I use I use the Zoom to
Mm-hmm.
teach in in the live but the problem is somebody especially the Chinese students, they cannot come to the Korea. They just um, they just stay in the China, but
Mm-hmm.
still they have to take my course. So
Mm-hmm.
basically uh, the even during the live the performance of the live teaching, I have to save my teaching class, and send the what is it store the the file to the China uh,
Mm-hmm.
the in order for them to review my teaching. So it's a very complicated and sophisticated process. So sometimes the online teaching is much more difficult than the offline teaching. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's a very time consuming right now. Except that
Yes.
my daily life is as normal as the before the pandemic.
Yes, but before the pandemic, was it 50% teaching, 50% research, and
Yes.
10% on top consultancy? And now
No,
it's
no, no, maybe 50, I think 30% teaching and
mhm.
30% consulting and the research and 40% for the, the contribution to the university at the
Oh,
service of
administration. Okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
kind of the administrative, the
Yeah.
affairs.
Okay. And now the teaching workload has significantly increased because you need to do a lot remotely.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and remotely means that you record videos and then they need to be transmitted to China. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is due to the pandemic.
Yes.
So, could you perhaps kindly briefly tell us how the academic life has changed since the
Mhm.
academic and how it looks like at the moment?
Mhm. So actually, I'm the one of the luckiest person in the world because I've been to the the Italy, the last February, the middle of the February, I was
Mm-hmm.
in Italy. So I think that the pandemic just start at I think at the end of the January in Korea. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time I planned to do the combined the Italy, Rome, and the Macerata and the French. I was so concerned because um, I'm was coming from the Korea. What is it? The suffering from the pandemic, and to visit the Italy. Maybe at that time I thought there's no pandemic in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
so the kind of the really concerned. And then after I just the returning to Korea, all of a sudden my life was so totally changed because I was expecting teaching, my class in offline, not the online. All of a sudden, the university authority said maybe I think until the middle of the March, you can teach, the online, but we'll resume the offline teaching the end of March. So all of a sudden, the university authority said, "Oh, we need to extend, the online teaching." So
Mhm.
all of a sudden, the university authority said, "Oh, we need to cancel all of offline teaching because the students are complaining, because
Mhm.
the some students is local students come to the Seoul, and basically they need to pay rent in the Seoul. So all of a sudden they cannot what is the manage what is it, the kind of the rent. So
Mhm.
the what is it, reflecting the students' voice, all of cancel or the online the class was canceled. So now so preparing online the teaching, it is not the the expected at all. So I all of a sudden I started to manage to prepare all of my the teaching stuffs.
Mhm.
This the what is it, first week or the second week of the March, and then I came to realize it's much more comfortable right now. All of a sudden, this in the coming September, the university authority, told us we can choose among the three options. One is online teaching,
Mhm.
the other is offline teaching. If the student the body is under 20, and another is a mixture, mixed teaching.
Mhm.
The maybe you can recruit maybe more less than 20 students, and by choosing daily basis. So you can come here on Monday, you can come here this Friday, or something like that. And
Mhm.
then we aired the online the live teaching to the other students who takes my classes. So uh, third one is most complex teaching. So basically I chose uh, online teaching for the undergraduate department, and the offline teaching for the graduate department.
Mhm.
That's what I do
Okay.
right now.
And so there was no complete shutdown of the campus. So students
No,
were
never,
always
never,
allowed to, never. Okay. Okay.
never.
That's very different from most of the European countries because we had a complete shutdown, most of them end of March for many
Mhm,
weeks.
mhm.
And in my case here in Vienna, even for a month, students were not allowed to enter university buildings.
How
So
about
we,
you?
sorry?
How about you?
My
Are you a
students, as I
student?
said, my students were not allowed to enter university buildings from mid-March actually until May. So for weeks or month, and therefore we needed to change our way of teaching to exclusively remote teaching within a few days, and we needed to keep this for weeks. And also the exams were taken on a purely remote basis in spring. So no presence on campus then.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
in Korea, because we, as I sent my an article to you, according to
Mm-hmm.
my article said we experienced, the MERS in 2015. So
Mm-hmm.
after the MERS outbreak, the Korean government was realized we need to prepare for the what is sudden the outbreak of the infectious disease. So now we are good in the kind of some the managing, controlling the COVID-19 outbreaks so far.
Yes.
So that's what
So,
happened.
South Korea is one of the examples that are intensely studied here in Europe because of your success rate or your success so far in controlling this outbreak so efficiently without locking the whole country down. That is very impressive. Yeah. And on campus, one of the measures taken was that below 20, you were still allowed to do it on campus. But if
Yes,
the
this
amount of
coming
people is higher than
yes,
20,
semester.
then remote teaching.
Not
Okay.
this semester, the next
Yeah.
for the next semester. So
Yes. And did the academics, so the professors, agree with these measures? And were they prepared, or was everyone then again in the need to invest more and more time on top of all the other additional duties?
um, um, I don't think, maybe I think elder generations, but yeah, I think
Mhm.
the I think older than the professors are elder than the 60s. They're really difficult time right now because they are accustomed to the offline teaching. So all of a sudden they have to change their the teaching style.
Mhm.
So, but I'm good at the
Mhm.
um, the transforming like a online teaching because I'm the intellectual property law professor.
Mhm.
But by and large, mid the 50s like me, and they are very the difficult time to
Mhm.
adjusting to this kind of the untact society.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the technologies you are using, are those specifically developed for Korean universities or by the universities themselves, or are you using standard tools such as, for example, Zoom or similar
yes,
instruments?
Zoom and the similar, and there's several options. Actually, the beginning of the March, I met a president. The new president is very good at adapting new system, and
Mhm.
he already negotiate with the Zoom and the other the private companies, and
Mhm.
the our university has the big discount from the new startup the like untact the digital companies. So it's
Mhm.
good. So some
Yeah.
of company was kind of their system was shut down because of the low capacity, but our university never shut down the
Mhm.
system because we are the early adopter, early bird to adopt untact society system.
Yeah, that's a very interesting remark. So you early adopted privately run solutions. You never
Yes.
tried to develop
Mm,
them on your own on campus,
mm.
and you didn't see yourself hindered by any legal constraints in doing so, right? Did you?
Normally, the
No.
what is it? University generate this. The software is not that good. So
Yes.
already university authorities know it's better. It's a kind of the social disaster. The COVID-19 is a social disaster. So we need to step up, quick into adapting new system in the very early stage. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yes, and there were, I mean, the typical European concerns in this is the data safe? Is it legal to process it via a private company?
I
Are
know.
there any students who are left behind because they are not able to use these instruments and so on? Are any of those thoughts important when your
Sure.
university chooses option A, B, or C? And if so, how?
Oh, because the university what is the increase the capacity of the the what is licensed by the Zoom. For example, they have the waiting the room to what is it? We are concerned about the protection of personal information.
Hmm.
So it has something to do with the capacity of the the licensed by the Zoom service. So my university the expanded the capacity, total capacity of the Zoom, the licensed by them, licensed by the Zoom service. So the definitely the many professors, especially law professors, are concerned about the protection of the privacy and personal information. So
Hmm.
the definitely, but still we are the very fast. So do you know why the Korean national telephone number is the 82? We call it it's Bali Bali is the hurry hurry. So we had to the save the time to
Uh-huh.
that the new system.
Okay, so if a university professor of the law school has a privacy concern, one listens to
Yes,
him, but one doesn't change anything in speed. Is it
yes,
that's the approach?
yeah.
uh, okay, okay. And when it comes to issues of no, let's put the question differently. I mean, you do have a lot of Chinese students. Probably it's not that easy to use all these products in China.
Mhm.
And how do you deal with this? So,
Actually, I was a little bit surprised because actually initially I thought the Chinese students they were canceled, maybe withdraw the enrollment in
mhm,
this coming this spring semester, but my expectation is wrong because uh, the I heard from the university authority officials that I think most of them enrolled in the first semester in this of spring semester because usually some of them cannot follow Korean language at all
mhm,
in the class. But
mhm,
by using the Zoom and the PPT files, they can read, written Koreans easily.
mhm,
So
mhm,
the another thing is, before the pandemic, the evaluation system is kind of the relative. But now the evaluation system is changed. The grading system was changed totally.
mhm,
It's an
mhm,
absolute grading system. So
mhm,
everybody can. I gave them all of them plus A. You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
so the from the standpoint of the students, it's a good system.
mhm,
So the some of the Korean universities adopted a very new innovative way to evaluating the grading students. Like during the semester, students can choose one of the is the absolute grading system, or
mhm,
the other is the pass or fail.
mhm.
It's up to the students. So it's kind of the very kind of the unprecedented, innovative way to, grading students.
Mhm.
So the many Chinese students is happy about these new grading systems.
So it's up to the student to decide whether he wants to get a grade or just a pass or
Yes,
fail.
yes,
Okay. And how
yes.
many
There is
students
a
choose?
maybe they, during the semester they can have sense. Maybe I don't like these professors,
Yeah.
the teaching style. So and
Yeah.
then maybe they afraid of the absolute grading system. Actually, some of the professors uh, they they just gave the grade like a C or D.
Mm-hmm.
The university authority, the officials thought they gave the A plus or the A, something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
the mindset is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So so some the students complained, the absolute grading system, even the pandemic. So some of them actually complain about, ah, we need a refund from the university
Mm-hmm.
because I'm expected to come here to offline teaching by the professors, but
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, I got only online, teaching.
Mm-hmm.
There's a complaining points because uh, they just argue that what's the difference between the long distance learning and the online teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, the university authority is facing new problem about the refund of tuition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And how are you doing the exams then? So, is there any issue that the student writing the answer is not the student expected to
Mhm.
write the answer? Do you identify your students online
So
or?
the actually I didn't the what is that had the exam. Actually, I
Mm-hmm.
substitute the exam as the for the what is the assignment for the
Mm-hmm.
the final exam. Otherwise, maybe the other university, the what happened there is students just kind of the conspirate uh, to what is it cheat together,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's a cheating is very easy. uh, for the online the exam.
And how do you deal with the problem then as a society that cheating is so easy? Do you accept that it's easy, or do you try to
So
switch to?
that's
Yeah.
why my university said, don't worry, students. It's an absolute grading system.
Okay.
So don't cheat like that. But so that's the policy of the university authority.
Mm-hmm.
But from the the standpoint of the students say, no, I understand absolutely the grading system is good, but some professors deal with a different way. It's a absolutely they just gave us D or the F, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a bad for the their points of view. So that's why the university authority thinking about what is it uh, students should opt out to the solutions like they can choose absolute grading system, but in the middle of the class, and that they can just opt out
Mm-hmm.
to get pass or fail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. And are you planning to do this in this way also in the next term? So autumn will be similar to this, or will you change anything?
No. I just rely on the absolute grading systems. So
Mm-hmm.
I gave my students every week. I give the assignment like
Mm-hmm.
by 1 point. It's very kind of I give it the incentive very lenient way, but
Mm-hmm.
they have to what is it solve the problem and the questions and the assignment maybe spending maybe an hour 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then altogether they accumulated altogether maybe 10 points, and then
Mm-hmm.
they gave out the absolute grading. So I prefer to the what is it, the gradual learning process is much more important in this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I don't want to monopolize the legal education systems right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And is every single law school and every single law school professor developing these changes independently, or is there some kind of joint approach and joint debate?
Oh, actually joint approach, but some the professors kind of they they argue that they complaining why our dean did not share our idea with what is it law school associations,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's a very strongly debated the discussions right now, but at the end, in the end, we follow the recommendation, not the recommendation, it's kind of mandatory recommendation of the
Mm-hmm.
law school associations.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we are following the consensus by the law school associations.
Mm-hmm. And these recommendations are public. So is it so everyone can read them and debate them and have input on them?
Yes,
Okay. Are they in
yes.
English? Could I read them? Is this
No,
available in
it's not
English?
in English
It's not
because
in
the
English.
it's shared by the law school association, the dean of the law school associations,
Mm-hmm.
and the dean of the each law school. They spread their ideas to the law school faculties.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely it is in Korean. So,
Okay.
but still many law professors at the law school is complaining because I can choose my style, so like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, but if I understand the situation correctly, the complaints will not be too successful, right?
yes, yes,
If there is
you're
such a
right.
standardized process to
Yeah,
deal with this, it's not
yeah.
necessarily that successful.
Mm.
Perhaps let's come back to the MERS outbreak in 2015 that you mentioned before. Did that change the way how teaching happened at law schools already? So did this have a similar impact to
No,
the
no, not at all.
because
Because
it was too short?
yeah, it's too short. Also,
Mm-hmm.
the another thing at that time, the Korean government and the Korean hospital, including the Samsung hospital, run by the Samsung company. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody trusts the Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
is a big company, and it is one of the biggest and finest hospital in Korea. All of a sudden, the infected patients just the what is the in the the Samsung hospital, and that they couldn't have a negative pressure systems in the Samsung hospital was it was a source we it's a very we are surprised by the lack of the the Samsung what is the system negative what is the oxygen pressure system in the Samsung hospital at that time, but ironically the fatality of the MERS is very high, so it didn't widespread to the other the ordinary persons. So the we are lucky enough to the coronavirus at the time. Even though MERS is a type of coronavirus, but it's not like this.
Yeah.
So it's very short. Also, we got a lot of lessons from the at the moment, and then all of a sudden we are thinking about how to trace contact of the infected persons and their contacts. So that's why we changed the system in the 2015.
And how is it now? How are you tracing contacts? Do you use
Yes,
electronic
all of
means for
them.
this?
Yes,
All.
all of them.
Yes. And you have an app for this that is installed on smartphones, and the usage is there's an obligation to use them, or is it voluntary?
No, no, no. It's a kind of the so it's a kind of mandatory because the all of the our system is connected. It's kind of the hyper connected society. So the I think the KCDC, the Korea's center for the uh, disease
Disease
center,
control.
disease what is it?
Control, probably.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
disease control. This the main tower, the control tower to get the personal information. After the I think the these stored the information for the 14 days for the quarantine period time, and then they delete automatically delete the what is it the personal informations. So the, sometimes as a IP law professor and the IT law professors, I'm thinking we need to save the personal information. It's not if they just delete automatically delete the personal information, we cannot develop the systems. So but the constitutional law professors, yes, 14 days too long, like that. So there's a strong debate right now.
Yeah, but like everywhere else, but different from at least many of the European countries, the approach in Korea, if I understand it correctly, is that this is, I mean, the system is still in use, right? And there are no
Yes,
no
yes,
no
still
no
use.
no really successful restrictions so far.
Yes, so the some of the IT law professors and the constitutional law professors criticize the Korean system, about the contact tracing, but it didn't work out very well because the others just they just they argue that if you are, became the context of the the infected patients, do you don't want to share your information with the others to protect the other the not that they didn't have any infection. So to save the majority of the ordinary persons and that infected patients need to share their information to save the others life. So it's a totally different situations like unlike a MERS, because the virus is deadly. So some the law professor like me said it depends on the types of and the fatality of the the coronavirus. So we cannot just level up, although all the virus is the same. The situations are totally different. So it's a we can judge the case by case. So
Yeah.
that's my point.
Okay, and your students or the typical people on the street, they support the system as
Yes,
it is at
yes,
the moment, right?
every day.
Yeah,
Even during this time, I got a lot of message from the government.
because of a possible contact somewhere, or just a
Yes,
general alert.
near my the hometown, and the what is it impacted patients went this place and this place, other place, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to avoid that area.
Okay.
So it's very efficient to
Yeah.
avoid the infected the patients.
Yeah. And due to these measures, the country managed to keep the infection rate low during the whole period since March, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe the government didn't expect the certain the cult the church groups like
Yes.
they got more than the 5,000
Mm-hmm.
infected patients.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I think the nursing home and the hospital and the cult church also like a gym, like the workout
Mm-hmm.
place like that. So some area is they're dangerous. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that is very safe in Korea. So recently we got the what is that? Some the influx from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I think today I got we got uh, the newly the 36 patients
Mm-hmm.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then more than the majority of the infected persons are the foreigners
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
coming
Mm-hmm.
from the outside.
Yeah. So similar to as it was in China and also in Japan for many weeks now, right? So that many of the cases come in from outside. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so to come back perhaps and to wrap this up a little bit, if you had the choice now for your future teaching at the university, will you take any of those newly developed instruments also in regular teaching, or is it just an emergency measure that you're following, or an emergency process that you're following at the moment?
So basically I prefer the offline teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So but sometimes I feel like the online teaching is better than the offline teaching, because by using the offline teaching I can share my the what is it the materials with our students more
Mm-hmm.
easily and more widely. So I want to combine the main the I think teaching style is offline, but I combined offline the online teaching together, so that there will be the what is the ideal
Mm-hmm.
style of the teaching in the future.
Yeah, and if you do so, the workload for teaching will increase because you mentioned that online teaching takes more time than
Right.
offline. Would you expect then that more professors are hired or less students will join, or will the way you do your profession change in the sense that you need to do less research and more teaching then?
So maybe it's not on my university situation. So maybe some of the other universities, just the president of another university, just said to their professors said, maybe we don't need the 100% teaching staffs, teaching
Hmm.
the professors. Like, oh, we need the I think 70% is enough. So
Yeah.
maybe
Hmm.
30% will need to be cut off like that. But based on the Korean labor law, it is impossible. So it's kind of just a joke.
Hmm.
Anyway, um, I I uh, I think the online teaching is an interim measures right now, but already I accustomed to the what is it online teaching. So I want to cherish this teaching style. So next year it's much more easier because I already prepared all of the stuffs.
Yeah,
This
but they will
the
be
semester.
outdated. I think this is one of the
Yes,
specific
yes,
problems of our field, that nothing will be
yeah,
up to
right,
date in
right.
a year.
But techniques is all of the, the developing. So I just cut
Mhm.
off the certain part and
Okay. Uh-huh.
some slide and cut off. So
Uh-huh.
definitely I'll manage the the future. So I'm still I can survive
Mm-hmm.
analyst.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, but I think, I mean, this is a typical presumption of people who are not really familiar with how good online teaching looks like if they think that the amount of people needed decreases. I think the opposite is true. It needs more people because you need to
mhm.
invest more time, and everyone who
Yes.
is really into this shares
So
this.
actually, I told my colleagues said it is a very good chance to promote our university because uh, all of a sudden I think the private companies like the Apple, Microsoft, the Microsoft and Amazon, they are developing what is a simultaneous interpretation device.
Mhm.
So basically, we can open our class to the worldwide. So
Mhm.
maybe we can recruit the foreign students all over the world. Is
Mhm.
basically the what is it language barrier is I think gradually is getting lower. So
Mhm.
it is a very good chance the Korean university to recruit the foreign students. So
Mhm.
in my sense.
Mhm. So, are you planning to offer your studies openly on the internet? I mean, the content that you provide is that an
Yes,
option
I
that you
do.
are
I do.
seriously considering, that you put it simply on
Yes.
YouTube or something? Yeah.
Yes, because the in the association with our university, I'm developing new contents of coursework. It is called is how to survive with the AI, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the different format. I do very innovative teaching style with my
Mm-hmm.
colleagues. So
Mm-hmm.
my colleague, he's the specialized in the criminal law. I'm the specialized in the IP law. Both is appeared in the screen, and
Mm-hmm.
we do teach together. Not
Mm-hmm.
it's my class, but he
Mm-hmm.
is joining my class like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's
Mm-hmm.
a new style.
Yeah, but normally students in Korea are expected to pay fees for their studies, aren't they? And if you put
Yes,
it on the
yes,
internet
yes.
for free now, how
Uh,
would you convince students then to still be willing to pay?
uh, so maybe so the very good point because if I I think last week, the semester, many students complained about the what is it YouTube teaching
Mm-hmm.
because they can get they can have access free access to the YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and the professor just the link to the YouTube he already taught, but
Yeah.
that class the teaching was out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing is they don't want to share. I mean, the students do not want to share their the class with others.
Yes.
That's why they're paying the tuitions.
Yes.
So basically, the offline teaching is much more need to intense than the online teaching. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the mixing the humor or the other things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's, I mean, I fully understand what you're saying, but the ironically, the situation is completely different in Europe. In Europe, students normally complain that there is nothing on YouTube, right? Not that there is
Oh,
too much on YouTube, but that there is too little. So it's
yeah.
the opposite problem in a way. And uh, yeah, okay. Thank you. I mean, I think I have all my questions covered,
Mhm.
Professor Lee. Are there any questions or any additional remarks that you would like to speak about?
Yes, um, I'd like to express my sincere, the thanks to the, the Niklaus Fogel, the
Thank
Professor
you.
Niklaus Fogel, and also the we met, 2 years ago in the Fukuoka in the 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I cherished our, the meeting, and then someday, hopefully, I can meet you in the person in the Vienna
Yes, I
soon,
hope
sooner
so.
or
I
later.
hope so. I really do
Yeah,
hope so. We will hopefully all of us will be able to travel again soon, and you will most
yeah,
kindly be invited then to join us in Vienna whenever you
sure.
want.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for your time and have a good weekend. All the best. And
Yes,
also thank
have a
you
good
to
weekend.
our listeners and our viewers. Have a good time. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and keep in touch with us in by using whatever means you would like to. Thank you.
Thank you.